It is a beautiful day. Good News Tuesday. The big question at 7:10 is if you were going to steal a truckload of chocolate bars, because somebody did last week or so ago, they stole Kit Kats. Which one would you steal? At 7:10, we've got a few here. Chris Abel is joining us. Now, Chris, here's a couple from the text line, and I'm going to have to find out what chocolates you would steal a truckload of. The one text, Southern Ontario, says Maltesers. That'd be pretty good. We get a couple of text messages that say Reese's peanut butter cups. Yes, I'd like a truckload. Got a few Reese's peanut butter cups, and we have a Snickers. So if you were going to steal tons and tons and be the robber, the heist of a lifetime, Chris, what chocolate would you steal?
Well, I'm attracted to the Reese's peanut butter cups because they're going to change the recipe. So you would have an entire truck of the old recipe. That would be really valuable. But yes, I would go for Kinder Surprise eggs. I would love to have an entire truck of Kinder Surprise eggs, just in case maybe the chocolate's gone bad. Then I've got all the toys I can put together and still play with them.
You do like your collectibles. That's a very good one. 7-10-10. Eat more chocolate bars comes up on the list.
Ooh, very chewy.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. I feel like my jaw I got TMJ just from thinking about that one. If anyone was to steal a truckload of Toblerone bars, at least they could sell them without any temptation of eating the profits. They must not like Toblerones. How could you say that? Oh, I find that hurtful.
Well, and the Kinder Surprise eggs you can't get in the U.S., right? So,
yeah, that's a hot commodity. You could be a smuggler, too. Not only would you be a thief, Chris, you could be a cross-border international smuggling ring. Admitting to crimes is not why we're here. Tech is why we are. Chris Abel. RealChrisAbel.com and on socials, KRISABEL. Going to space, Chris. I heard there's a thing happening.
Yes, this beautiful, wonderful, historic moment happened yesterday in which the Artemis space crew crossed that historic boundary line where they had traveled farther than any human being from the Earth in history. That meant that they broke the Apollo record. But the reason I want to mention it and give it special focus today is just the way that it worked out is that you have that moment where they have a speech that marks the occasion, and you get the astronauts on board the space capsule at the moon, and then of course you have NASA. But the way it worked out, Jeremy Hansen, Canadian astronaut, represented the Artemis crew at the moon. Here on Earth, Canadian astronaut Jenny Gibbons, who is the backup for Jeremy Hansen, as well as she's the current voice of NASA. She's Capcom. So if you remember that historic moment, Houston, we've had a problem. She's now Houston. So we've got two Canadian astronauts that are on board of this whole Artemis program. And so this moment was marked by that occasion. It just ended up being an all-Canadian moment. And I've got a clip here. You can have a listen.
On April 15th, 1970, during the Apollo 13 mission, 3 explorers set the record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from our home planet. Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier.
We will continue our journey even further into space before Mother Earth succeeds in pulling us back to everything that we hold dear. But we, most importantly, choose this moment to challenge this generation and the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
That's cool.
That's really cool. That's Jenny Gibbons from Calgary and Jeremy Hansen from London, Ontario.
Canadians. Yay, Canadians in space. Hey, that could be a thing. Canadians in space.
You know, that's we got to hope and plan that as the space missions continue and they expand and get larger, we have got operations on the moon, we may have an all-Canadian mission. That would be really cool.
This is cool stuff. RealChrisAbel.com if you want to get connected with Chris. He does post some stuff on YouTube that you might want to follow and listen back to on some of our conversations too. James Bond. I watched another movie it was like Jason Statham, but it was very James Bondy. I got to tell you, it was pretty good. Yeah, Operation something.
They set the formula that everybody tends to follow, and that was with GoldenEye, I think, in the 1960s. I've always wanted to have a James Bond gadget, of course, being someone who plays with gadgets. The problem is that a lot of the gadgets he uses in the movie, either they're now outdated. I mean, your phone is better than a lot of the stuff that was being done in the 60s and 70s. Or he mainly gets the cars. It's the baddies that get all the golden gun and the odd job bowler hat that can decapitate somebody. There aren't too many actual James Bond gadgets. And so I was very thankful that a company down in the US called Factory Entertainment has released a replica of the gadget that's featured in Thunderball. Thunderball mainly takes place underwater, and so what they introduced is Q came up with this little device. It's a pocket device. So kind of, our modern day gadget. It takes basically a scuba tank and shrinks it down to something that can slide into a cigar case tube. It's just a little mouthpiece, 2 little canisters, just enough air apparently to give you a couple of minutes time underwater. So we've got a moment here from Thunderball in which Q presents it to James. Have a listen.
Try to be a little less than your usual frivolous self, 007. Now, in the event of a rebreather not being available, you can use this device. For short periods only, of course, say about 4 minutes.
Clever.
Obviously, you'll only use it as a last resort. It closes to a convenient pocket size.
Assuming one has a convenient pocket.
It's real life problems right there.
There you go. Eventually, everything became shrunk down to a convenient pocket. But what I like about it is that it's not just something that's nice that you can put on a shelf, because it doesn't actually work. We're talking about a fictional gadget. This is not going to give you 4 minutes worth of oxygen underwater. But what I do like is that holding it and watching Thunderball again gave me a great appreciation for the fact that actor Sean Connery had to take this, put it in his mouth, and then pretend that he could actually breathe underwater. He was basically doing free diving underwater, doing all these action scenes. You can see his face. It's not a stunt person. It's actually him with this thing shoved in his mouth that's not giving him any air at all. So just watching that complex action sequence and realizing, hey, Sean, good for you, man. You actually pulled this off as an actor. I like that.
Impressive stuff. Chris Abel is here, Shane Hewitt, and the Night Shift Doritos. Since we're talking about chocolate bars, let's hit Doritos.
And snacks. Doritos Canada has come up with a fun web contest. If you go to DoritosKeyCodes.ca, what they want you to do is they're assuming that if you're a Doritos fan, generally your fingers are going to be a little messy, lots of orange powder on them, and that's a problem for gamers. You get that on your keyboard, you get it on your controller. So if you go to their website, and when you do, they'll cue you, wipe your keyboard down. And of course, that generates a gobbledygook code that you can then submit to their website. And that'll give you a chance to win a prize. Nothing huge. We're talking about, keyboards, wireless headphones, chargers, that kind of thing. But every day you've got 3 chances to go in, wipe your keyboard from all the crumbs coming from your Doritos chips. And then, of course, you can possibly win a prize. It's DoritosKeyCodes.ca, only open to Canadians. Sorry to any U.S. Americans that are listening.
RealChrisAbel.com, KRISABEL, Real Chris Abel on the socials. As always, my friend, thank you very much for being here.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, so with Doritos making you feel snacky, which chocolate bars would you steal? Someone stole a couple weeks ago a truckload of Kit Kats. Your text messages at 71010 for Good News Tuesday. I'd steal Reese's Caramel Peanut Butter Cups. Thank you very much. Arrow, Homer Simpson sounds. Arrow. And then I got another one from Montreal. That was from Ottawa. That says Arrow, all those bubbles. And a text message that also says Ferrero Rocher.